Around the Geek welcomes you back to another episode, review and spoiler of everything that is The Last of Us. Episode 7, Left Behind. Terrell and Nadia here, and we're back. And then we just gonna forget that we didn't do the last 5 or 6 episodes because everything happened.
Life.
Right. And as we jump right into it, definitely one of the few episodes I've been wanting to get into. Was hoping that was coming up, because this is something when we played the game that we had to wait like until the game was done and over with before we got this. Nadia, what did you think about tonight's episode of The Last of Us Left Behind, also titled after the DLC?
Yes, I was gonna say, I absolutely love the DLC. This was back in like 2014, and this was like such an integral part of Ellie's storytelling. So I was
Oh,
so happy they included this, and at the perfect time too. Like I kind of like how they were doing the whole thing, where only a couple times, but they flashed back to her and Joel, and it's kind of like her losing like another person that's like close to her.
right.
And even though this episode was so focused on Ellie, I kind of like how they did that. Like she's scared that she might lose Joel now.
Yeah, like I said, we recover right back after everything that happened in the previous episode, which is another again one of the darker episodes like of the series because I definitely wanted to see what everybody's reaction to that episode. After everything happened because it seems like in Walking Dead and The Last of Us, like every time you think you're good, then you get bit. Uh, that seems to be the moral of the story. If you think you won, then you probably got bit, right? Um, what did you think about like I said, definitely going into Ellie's story, the casting for her friend here. What did you
Yeah,
think? Storm Reed, I believe her name
for
is.
Riley, yeah.
Yeah,
She was phenomenal. They both were. Like this episode like gave me all the emotions. Like there were some scenes that I remembered like it took me all the way back to playing the DLC, like the part where they're in the photo booth taking pictures together.
yeah,
Oh my god, I was like about to start tearing up. Like I was like smiling so hard and I was like it literally like was straight out of the game. They were both phenomenal and this episode made me love Bella even more cuz she's got it hands down.
yeah,
Like every emotion she just killed it.
yeah. You can definitely tell. She's not a novice to the acting game here. From her days in Game of Thrones. Um, Now you talk about the DLC, and this is one of the things that I definitely wanted to see is them kind of flesh out more detail, and not even though they were kind of going scene for scene, with this and changed a few things, which I appreciate. I definitely like the way that they actually just took their time and didn't rush through it. The Even though the episode was like part okay, what's going on with Joel, and part okay, let's take this time to give you that backstory of Ellie. I almost kind of wish that it was Ellie telling Joel the story instead of her just being panicked. That way, he would have knew a little bit more about her. It's like I said, instead of her just kind of running through the kitchen, and because at this point, she is assumed that she just never says anything, because that's that big part of her story. What did you think about how the way they paced it out and the way they did the seven wonders or the five wonders of the mall here?
I thought it was so sweet. Like this episode definitely broke down like everything, like in terms of like survival, loyalty, and like showing love during this crazy time. Like what I loved about this episode is that they showed like they're like young innocence and like your first like love and like butterflies and having a crush. Like I
Oh,
remember they showed the scene where they made the joke like Riley was like, oh, like I wonder how you would look wearing that, and it was like, oh. And then Ellie's like checking herself out, like she's like fixing her hair like in the mirror, and it was like it just showed like that cute like young innocence, like oh my god, I
right.
think I have a crush, and like the whole thing with the carousel, and there were just so many like beautiful moments. Like I thought they did a phenomenal job with this episode.
You know what? Is something I thought about is that in this world of The Last of Us, kind of how much of like the sexuality spectrum thing is still kind of there when there's kind of like no real example of it, when everybody for the most part is dead or whatever, and you're kind of growing up in a world with no media, no anything to see, other types of people. Whereas though, like that moment where you were saying with young love between her and Riley, like they didn't they didn't really know how to act on it up until like that scene. Like you could tell that they did like each other, but obviously with this world really just not having examples of those type of relationships, and I could be wrong. Maybe there is a gay couple somewhere in the encampment or whatever the situation is, but like you say, like how we absorb information now, we're through TV, media, magazines, social media, where when we see stuff is or we know it's okay, stuff like that because we have representation of that. Whereas though they don't have anything in this world, kind of like where potentially where that relationship between Riley and Ellie would have went. It's something I was thinking about, like up into that kiss scene, they kind of played it off like, oh, like I didn't mean that, I didn't mean to, but oh, it's cool. Wondering where that would have took Ellie and Riley going on, and obviously we see where she goes in part two and stuff like that. When you think about like, so I mean, we get like the whole thing with Riley being a part of the Fireflies. What information did you kind of get from the Fireflies? Seem like they just, of course, they're recruiting kids to fight in this war, and they make Riley feel like she's important, that she's doing something for the cause, and yada yada yada, and how all of these events and her relationship with Riley, her being Marlene recruiting Riley, and then Riley, of course, getting Ellie to be with Marlene, how all of that kind of folds into play. Like just if she didn't meet her, then she wouldn't have met so and so. But yeah, we'll get into that. What do you think about that whole connection between her with the Fireflies and her reason for being there?
I think it played out really well because like even how like towards the end of the episode when you learn, I mean, we knew it was Marlene, but like when you learn that it's Marlene and you learn like why Riley, how she describes how she felt in the QZ, like she felt unappreciated and she's like, "Oh, I'm turning 17 and they want me to do sewage." So it's kind of like, not to say it's like, how the army like recruits people, like they're like free college and free
Yeah,
this
man.
and like
Get $100,000 when you retire.
yeah, they're like free,
Yeah.
like get your education and start your career. And like that's kind of how like the Fireflies felt. Like it's kind of like giving them all these promises, and it's like she's a 16-year-old kid,
Right.
and this is like I guess how she feels, how she can, like she said, like what was the word they used? Not rebellion, but like there was a word they used, but basically like to have like a purpose, and that's kind of like that falsehood that they give them, like you're gonna be like on lookout like a watch, and then like we're gonna promise you to bring you to like this new city, and it's kind of like you're taking advantage of kids, but
Right. I mean, gotta get your child soldiers out here. Like,
toy
man,
soldiers.
I tell you, man, the music in this episode is amazing. I really like the set design. I don't know what mall they used, if it was all of a mall and like just or CG, but I really like the way that the prop set up, man. I'm just thinking to myself like I really want to play around in this dead mall,
Yeah.
minus the zombies. Man, the aesthetic of the show, I feel like it's just been on point.
Hmm.
Like from day one, I mean, it really feels like we're in this world of The Last of Us and whatever state it's in. But yeah, I really love the music and the backdrop here. And I'm really glad that they were able to do this within the season, because at first when I was watching, I'm like, are they going to touch this or are they going to kind of
Yeah.
sprinkle it in? And I'm glad that they gave the Left Behind its own episode. And this is kind of the stuff that I wanted to see. I mean, obviously this is not new information, but this is stuff that is important to the story, building that backstory. But like I said, I wish that Ellie was the one telling Joel the story as he was hallucinating and dying. Um, which you just kind of think of the overall the episode itself. I feel like just how they did it, and comparatively to the game, do you feel like they did justice to the DLC and how they did that? Because the majority of that is like cutscene anyway. So did you think they did a really good job just comparatively to the game?
It was pretty almost spot on. Like I even liked how they showed them like jumping off buildings.
Yeah, I'm
Because I
not
do
doing
remember them like going through obstacles together
that. Yeah,
to get there. So that was pretty cool. And I like their whole like banter and like cute like little jokes. And then the pun book. That's like all like really important things. And what else? Oh, even like back to what you were saying, like with the music, like I like that tonally, it was happy. Like the
Right.
whole episode wasn't sad. Like they played fun, like funky music. They're like dancing, having a good
Right.
time. Like Ellie experiencing an escalator for the first time. Like I love that they showed all that because, like I said, that like adds to her innocence. Like she's being a kid. Like essentially, she didn't have a real life. Like it was like being imprisoned, and now she can actually experience like Mortal Kombat. She's like, oh my god, how do I play? Like it was a fun, exciting episode. Like you said, like the scenery and everything, the music all like added to it, and like we felt like we were there with them experiencing it. They did a great job.
Something I was about to ask you because I couldn't remember. Did they go into Ellie's? Did they like in this episode that shows like her in like the school and everything like that? They never show that in the game,
I
right?
think that was made up for the show. I don't recall any of that.
Yeah, because where she is, they pretty much like you get a job assignment at this point. Like this is
Yeah,
Fallout, with the bottle caps.
I don't recall that, but I think that adds like to back what I was saying with Riley, like about her experience and her wanting to leave. This added a lot of like context to
Right.
that, so that was done very well.
She just didn't want to be in sanitation, yo.
Yeah, she's like sewage.
Is
That's
that,
not for me.
is that? I mean, like, nah, I'm gonna go blow stuff up. I'm not
Drop
cleaning the poop,
bombs.
bro. Yeah, man. Man, Storm Reed has been killing it, man. She's been in a lot too. I would have. I mean, especially she must have like an exclusive contract with HBO or something because she's on that show with the teenagers and the drugs. I can't think of the name, but Euphoria.
Oh, she is.
She's her sister in Euphoria. So,
Mm.
but she's like, man, she stay getting HBO stuff. Like, so
She's
it
fantastic too.
right. Um, man, I wish this didn't have to end in the same episode. What's something in this episode that you wish that you could have got more of?
Mm, I think they did a great job on building up their like trust for each other and like feelings. Because like you saw, like that was like her best friend, and Ellie kept saying, like, you're
Right,
abandoning me, like I thought you were dead, and now you're leaving me again. Like you kind of saw like I guess the build up, and especially like Ellie getting like beaten up, like and losing like she at the time thought like her best friend like ran away or left or something, and she was alone, and now she finally like sees her best friend again. She said this was like the best night of her life, like she had such a great time,
right,
and I think all that was done very well. I guess the only thing is in terms of like progression, I guess kind of like with Joel, like because they did change a lot. Like I in my recap for last week, they kind of like I felt like sped through a lot. Like I kind of
yeah,
felt like it was like a cliff notes. Like
the
they
old
like
time skip.
yeah, like they skipped like three different scenes. Like they skipped um the water tower, they skipped the ranch.
Right,
It was like a lot, but the overall message, they've been absolutely killing it. I think I just want to see a little bit more of like different, I guess, sets and kind of more travel, but
right. That's something that I was looking forward to. That was something that I've said in a previous review is like, man, the traversal is the journey, and if you're skipping it, that's where you get to build with the characters.
mhm,
I get it, it's TV, you want to have stuff happening at all times, but that's why I was hoping that for stuff like episodes like this where we get to build more in the characters that we really didn't get to see. I would have liked to have seen what the heck Riley was doing prior to her coming to Ellie, stuff like that. Um, you know, cut some of the stuff with Joel. I don't feel like we needed that. If this was going to be that, like I said, it could have done it where, like I said, Ellie was telling Joel the story,
that could have
and
worked.
then we kind of got a perspective of like where Riley was, and then her meeting up to them. Because, like I said, we come into it, she's already done the whole thing with the mall, come and get Ellie and stuff like that, and then of course we know what happens at the end here. Um, but I just wish we could have got a little bit more. Yeah, that's the only thing I feel about the show is that it's wasting opportunities to build other characters and have episodes like what was it, episode 3 with Bill.
Hmm.
Do more stuff like that. If you're not gonna have Ellie and Joel on screen all the time. Um, the monster of the week here at the end looks really really cool. They do it purposely. They make sure these scenes are always dark because they don't want you to see too much of the aesthetic. But I think he looked pretty cool, man. What is this decision not to show them get bit?
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's
Like obviously, like they're holding the suspense for like, like oh yeah, I got bit too. Like Like this is like the second time in the show.
Third. That was the third bite. Third
Like
bite reveal. Fourth bite reveal.
like why are we holding this off until the end every time? Like
Yeah.
we know Ellie got bit. It's not a secret. Like
Yeah, that's true. For that one, they should have shown it. Like at that point, everyone already knows.
right. Need people to start wearing armor or something, some gloves.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work. But did you? I mean, as far as like them taking out the monster, that whole action scene, what did you think about that? How that was choreographed and him just, I guess, going to town on these two girls. Not,
Um,
I don't think you saw it. To go. You know what I meant.
um, I guess what I'm wondering is this whole time was he there?
Right,
Where did he come from? Uh, if Riley's been there, she's kind of been making noise already. I mean, I
right.
guess not as
Rattling,
much.
rattling change from the machine, stuff like.
Yeah, but like I guess like was he stuck? Why did it take him so long to come out? Or did he I don't know, but that's like a minor gripe. Like
In the game, was it more than one, or was it just?
I think it was more than one.
I swear,
I feel like I remember like a lot of trees. Like I feel like I remember a lot of trees.
yeah, in the mall.
Like I don't know, maybe I'm remembering another scene. I'm gonna have to watch a recap. Or
Right.
actually, I haven't played the DLC since then. That's the only one I haven't
Yeah.
replayed.
They didn't remaster that game 55
Yeah.
years. But yeah, like I
I don't
said,
know. I feel like I remember more journey wise, but that's
yeah, like I said, I feel like in the game we get a lot more of the traversal because we're actually doing the walking, we're getting the talking, doing in
mhm.
between the stuff, and in between shooting the next bad guy, killing everybody, you're having conversation, which is a lot of what I was saying. Like you don't get here is you don't get the build between Ellie and Joel. I did I that I don't really see them like, okay, why is Ellie caring about Joel, like or Joel, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Why they care about each other. There's nothing being built here.
I guess what I want a little more of, like, I understand, like, it's a different source. So, like, in the game, like, gameplay's a lot more, like, extended and different things, like I said, like, being, like, stealth. But I guess that's kind of one thing I wish they did a little more because that's a major part of, especially for season 2, how Ellie gets around and how she fights. It's like stealth is a major part of her combat. So I kind of hope they'll get into that a little more because that will be very like integral for next season.
Right. Yeah, I definitely would like to see more, like you said, the action scenes and stuff like that, just showing how the characters have been able to survive so long and what they can do. I mean, we get a little bit of it off and on with Joel, but not enough to be like, all right, like I said, we still got 40, 50 minutes left in the episode. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think they did an amazing job, man. PlayStation supervising this, man. They got a hit on their hands. Um, could this been formatted? The show's not over, but could this have been formatted just like as a movie on its own? I feel like this episode alone, I feel like could have been 2 episodes because I just wanted to see more of Riley, and where she was, kind of giving more impact to her death. Um, and they obviously they don't show what happens. We know what happens. We stuff like that. I just wish we could get a little bit more, man. Episode 7, the Left Behind, like I said, which was originally a DLC that we got months after the fact that you had to pay for.
Yeah. But it was worth it. I don't know if like a lot of people played it, but it was totally worth it. And then in
Right,
terms of like I said for the progression for game 2, season 2, I'm so happy they included this now. Because especially for people that don't know the games, like
right.
this is a major part of Ellie's like character build up.
Yeah, it was the story we should have got from the beginning. Yeah, Sony go put they sold you the game of the year edition. They give it to you for free, and then like every other edition after that, it was a standalone game. Because they do like standalone DLC games now. But yeah, other than that, great episode. I love the performances here. They could, like I said, they could have cut the Joel and Ellie stuff for me. What about you?
I loved it. Like I said, I think they're doing a phenomenal job
Yeah,
character wise. Like they're absolutely killing it. Every single character they've been introducing, they have a reason to be there, and they're like doing a beautiful job of like showing who these characters are. Everyone's been phenomenal. And I take back whatever uh complaints I had casting wise. Like we'll see for season 2 what happens. I'm not gonna say anything, but
they would ultimately have to recast going season 2 as far as Ellie.
I mean, the only thing is she's gonna have to bulk up a little bit. Maybe if they wait a couple years, because she cannot go against Ronda Rousey.
Oh yeah, that is fun. Um, but yeah, like I said, great episode. Like I said, check out the previous reviews that Nadia has done on your YouTube channel,
Yeah.
Gotham Geek, Gotham Geek Girl. You
Yep.
check out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of our reviews. And she's been doing an amazing job with that. And we'll have these posted, shared on both of our things. Let us know what you think about in both of our comments when you watch this, about the DLC. Did the stack up to you as far as the game? Because if you're looking for scene comparisons, then I feel like you're watching the wrong show. But they're doing it, so here you go. But yeah, like I said, Last of Us episode 7, Left Behind. Check it out, and leave us a comment when you watch this. Nadia, any parting words?
I loved it. They're doing a phenomenal job, and I don't. I'm just like, it's like if you play the games, you're like, I don't know if I want
Right.
season 2, but I want season 2, but I don't think I do.
I think we should cut it off right here. I
It's like
think
as
we
you
should,
get closer, you just get
yeah,
nervous.
just skip the whole opening scene to see the episode. But yeah, so we'll catch you guys. Definitely, I'm gonna have this episode 8 as well, and we'll catch you guys next week with another review. See you.